Thank you very much, Tommy, for that introduction, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, honor and privilege to be here at the South Asian Mobile Summit 2012. What I've set out to speak to you a little bit about today, nothing too fancy. I'm sure Tommy has motivated you, driven you to new heights with respect to what the mobile can do and how the mobile can change our lives. Tommy may not remember, but just 8 months ago I met him in Phuket at the ICTA group convention. And Tommy, just apart from this first slide, the rest are all photographs of you in Phuket. So the promise and challenge of m-commerce in emerging markets. I am taking a fairly reserved approach to this presentation to throw some light on some of the challenges we have, and hence the word challenge, to match the promise of the power of mobile. So looking at the bright side first, the mobile is clearly an unparalleled platform for information exchange. I think we have no debate about that. That today we have 2 billion internet users, but 5.5, nearly 6 billion mobile users. Only 1.7 billion television sets, 1.2 billion personal computers, 1.1 billion landlines, and 450 million newspapers circulating each day. But mobile outstrips television by 3 times and personal computers by 4 times. So it is unparalleled in terms of its ubiquity, its proximity, and how close it is to our lives. So looking at something that Tommy said, and I have actually done a slide for Tommy, so I think I have hopefully outdone some of the other speakers that have actually got Tommy quoted on a slide, that 91% of us keep, have you said this morning? I'm sure you did. Oh, you didn't, okay. 91% of us keep our mobiles 3 feet within our perimeter of movement and 1 meter all day and night. Likewise, the average person looks at the mobile screen 150 times per day, or once every 6.5 minutes. So this reflects the immediacy of the mobile phone and how close it is to what we see and how we interact on a day-to-day basis. However, albeit very much deficit to the mobile in terms of immediacy, TV, the internet, and other forms of electronic and non-electronic information exchange are in fact still the dominant and most powerful enablers of commerce, advertising, awareness, and transactions. This is something that we in the mobile industry have to recognize. It's a hard truth that however great this device is, still these relatively passive, relatively less intelligent devices, including the newspaper, today dominate the money behind commerce. And I'm going to focus my presentation today only on commerce, not on entertainment, not on gaming, on music, and so on. Let's look at commerce. So mobile, while it still lacks these forms of information exchange, potentially being an omnipresent and pervasive device, potentially has the power to translate its strengths into being a leader in digital commerce as well. Why does a mobile have a very good chance at doing this? It is active and it is intelligent. I would use the word active in contraflow to the word passive. So the television, for instance, is very passive in that you can't interact with it, other than maybe the more advanced interactive television platforms. Also, the mobile is unparalleled in terms of its inherent strengths, such as the authentication capability, its transactional capability, omnipresence, location sensitivity, and the fact that it has a multimodal user interface now with touch screens and various other gizmos through which a consumer can interact with the device. Also, the mobile is inclusive and empowering. And when we talk of South Asian markets, emerging markets, we really need to look at the power of the mobile to digitally empower every citizen in our countries. So given that the mobile phone is a powerful computing tool, which can also scale due to its affordability, scale across all layers of the socio-economic pyramid. Effectively, it brings to the palm of the citizen an online connectivity device capable of cross-sector inclusion. What I mean by cross-sector inclusion is that once you digitally empower a human being, a citizen, and in this case in Sri Lanka 95% of our adult population is digitally empowered, then various other sectors like banking, insurance, health, education, name it, any industry which wants to be inclusive, i.e. take their product and take it to the bottom of the pyramid, then they can use this platform which is intelligent, which is active and empowering to take their services to, on an inclusive basis, to everyone. So services which were earlier restricted by market size to those who can afford can now be taken to people who could previously be excluded from that industry. So in effect, we believe we can surmise that inclusive commerce means that everyone in a country, in an ecosystem, can trade, can talk money, can deal, can buy and sell. So that is what I would refer to as inclusive commerce. And the mobile as a digital bridge which connects people from all walks of life across the entire socio-economic pyramid can make commerce inclusive. And I strongly believe that when commerce becomes inclusive, like it has even today when you call the fisherman, the fishmonger, and do a deal over the phone, or call the trishaw with your voice device, you're connecting in a commercial sense. And what this does is to create a more equal world, because people have less barriers to sell their wares, to sell their services, their capabilities, and to interact and trade on an equal platform across societies. Now, to add to all this, we all know that in our countries, especially, mobile penetration far outpaces fixed penetration. Therefore, the mobile internet is the primary access medium to the internet. I'm not telling you anything new. These are all facts. We all know them. We all have this knowledge in our DNA that really the mobile phone is the most powerful internet access medium around in the South Asian market. So here comes the but. Now, with all these trends, taking the fact that the mobile is so penetrated, it is in our hands. We look at it 65 times a day. It's within 3 feet of wherever we go. It has all this power. It has transaction capability. It has a wonderful screen. It has multimedia. It's cheap, very affordable. Its consumption is also very, very cheap. Having said all of that, m-commerce penetration, m-commerce, is singularly deficit compared to its ubiquity and dominance as an internet-enabled device. So the few data points I want to leave with you and ask you to think about. 1, mobile penetration is 6 to 8 times that of the fixed internet. But mobile commerce relative to retail commerce lags e-commerce by 8 times. So what this says is that you look at total retail commerce, which could be translated or transformed to an online media. Out of that, the mobile penetration is 8 times lower than internet commerce penetration or e-commerce. So if you were to separate m-commerce and e-commerce, m-commerce has penetrated 8 times less relative to e-commerce. But mobile penetration is 8 times that of the fixed internet. So we haven't done very well, have we? With this such a powerful tool in our hands, we have still been unable to turn the curve in terms of mobile commerce. Likewise, the mobile share in online commerce is approximately 10% today, taking an average across the region and the Far Eastern region as well, where some of the countries are pretty advanced, like if you take Malaysia or Hong Kong, Korea, and so on. Whereas mobile penetration exceeds fixed internet by 6 to 8 times. That's a paradox that we have. Similarly, and very importantly, mobile share of ad spend is only 0.7%. That's today even in the developed world. So we talk a lot about the wonderful device, and it's a device that is so close to my heart. But really, when you reflect, we have not done a good job in converting this phenomenal potential. And why I'm stressing on commerce is because commerce means money. And when there's money, it means there are business cases which build around this money for developers, for application providers, for content providers, for the entire ecosystem, and for the wheel to turn. So I believe that we must now stop being depressed and look at the potential. Really, if you look at the potential by, say, comparing ourselves with South Korea or the UK or the US, then the growth potential for m-commerce is 100 times, 100x. So that is what we see in front of us, a 100x growth potential industry. Now, what would the investment bankers here say? What would the venture funding providers, the venture capital providers say if you were to tell them, I have a 100x growth curve going forward? So that's how exciting it is. And you can see that the South Asian countries really have a phenomenal opportunity to go where the developed world has. Also, the mobile is expected to drive digital commerce going forward. Worldwide, it's expected that it's not e-commerce that will bridge the gap between total retail and electronic commerce. It will be mobile commerce which bridges that gap. That's the expectation. Are we capable? Are we fully equipped to make that a reality? Move to advertising. This is also one of the great sources of money to fund the ecosystems, fund the developers, fund the applications, fund the content and innovation. And if ad spend is only at 0.7% today, it's expected to grow to 5.7 in 2015 in the Indonesian market and the Malaysian market, and to South Asia because of the power of the mobile relative to traditional media. But I believe that this can be made threefold. So here is the potential. Commerce, buy, sell, trade, product awareness, and mobile advertising. But we have to take this opportunity with the knowledge that we have not performed well up to now. We have under-capitalized on the potential of the mobile device and its ubiquity and penetration and pervasiveness within our societies as a single internet device that a majority of the people of our countries have. And we have not capitalized on that potential fully. Going forward, this problem will become less because E and M will converge. Why would E and M converge? Because the smartphone, for instance, or the tablet, is it E or M? Is it a fixed computer? Is it a mobile computer? It all comes together. Now, just to drill down into some of the reasons for this gap, these reasons for the gap that we have today between the potential of the mobile and what it has delivered in m-commerce. First, look at why it has performed very well in terms of ubiquity and adoption as a basic communication device. It's because it's very available. It's applicable to everyone's life. It's very affordable. And the level of affinity that people in our countries have to the mobile phone and how they interact with it is very, very high. So trust, experiential alignment, and personalization is very high. So on the adoption quadrants of availability, affinity, affordability, and applicability, the mobile in its primary form is very strong. It has green ticks on all these dimensions. But this is not really the case if you move to an analysis of the m-commerce domain. Now here I would argue that affordability is still very high because the same mobile phone, the same $20, $10 mobile phone can be deployed for mobile commerce using USSD or SMS or mobile money. The simplest of phones can be used for mobile commerce. You don't need a fancy phone to do that.